Hey, I'm Marina.
And I'm Emily.
And I've seen everything in the Sex and the City empire 10,000 times.
And I'm starting fresh.
So I'll be woman-splaining the show.
And I'm along for the ride.
But there's a twist. We are starting with And Just Like That and working our way back to the beginning.
So in other words, we're watching it backwards and in high heels.
This is City and the Sex. Welcome to City and the Sex. This is episode 9 from season 6. We're almost at the break. Basically, this season actually aired in 2 parts with a break in between. So we're 3 episodes away from this break, if you will.
Okay. That's good. That's helpful to know.
This episode, A Woman's Right to Choose. This is a big episode. This is an episode that a lot of people point to. When people are like, Sex and the City is good, they often turn to this episode.
Really?
Yes.
This is a standout, is this a fandom favorite?
Yes.
Episode?
I think this is a standout episode. I mean, every time I watch it, I'm clapping, and we'll get into that a little later. But I just want to give you the weight of that context now. Okay. So I hope you feel that.
Yeah, I like that you're I'm going to give you the weight of the context now, and also that's a threat. And so don't say a single bad thing about this, or you will be exorcised from the fandom. You will be excommunicated.
Yeah, I'm going to pope you and take you out if you have a minorly negative thing to say about this episode.
Copy that. All right. I know my marching order is going right into this episode. Good.
Just kidding. I actually watching this episode closer. I was I have some problem. I mean, we'll get into it, but it's not a perfect episode, but it is a big episode without big in it. Ha ha ha.
Unfortunately.
Tragically.
Everyone's favorite character.
Everyone's favorite sexy guy. Emily, what was your one word of this episode?
My one word for this is pet peeve. I think there are a lot of pet peeves going on in this where you're I didn't feel like anyone in this episode was doing anything that was egregiously wrong, but there were so many things where I remember nodding and being yeah, this is a minor thing that would piss me off. It was kind of cutesy of an episode. Because there weren't really, I didn't feel very high stakes in anyone's plot. It's just a lot of quietly annoying things. So this is a good episode to watch if you want to feel petty.
Ooh, I do like that as the tagline. A good episode to watch when you're feeling petty. That's pretty apt. My one word hyphen is all over the place. This episode has so many... the levels on the soundboard are all at different places in crazy different ways. Samantha has 2 scenes that don't make sense and don't even round out a plot. Meanwhile, Charlotte's so much naked Harry, which we'll get into. And then Carrie has this serious thesis about being a single woman. And then Miranda's there. You know what I mean? It's just the soundboard levels of this episode are whack. Well, let's get into it. This is Sex and the City season 6, episode 9, A Woman's Right to Choose. And we open on Carrie running through the streets of New York. And she says, a single New Yorker's weekend is all about buying. She's flowers, Vogue, and then she's and gifts for previously single New Yorkers. And we get a great montage of her buying gifts from different registries at different stores. Very fun. Although I don't understand what her big grudge is about the Little Me activity chair. She has full disdain for having to purchase that item.
Yeah, I mean, it's a registry. You can pay something else.
I think the idea was that it was the only one of the only things left.
Okay, and she's annoyed to be stuck with. Okay,
which I'm this feels like a 90s issue of I feel sometimes people remember what you buy from the registry, sort of, but I feel it's immediately forgotten.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't speak to this. I've never been on the receiving end of like wedding gifts, so I don't really know what sticks and what people remember.
I feel like this episode is also going to highlight like how unmarried we are.
Yeah, we're going to be a lot of like, I don't get it.
I don't get it.
What is
Children,
that?
They
Yeah.
are gross. So I guess I want to.
What? Oh yeah.
As a, who? as a journalist, I want to state up because this is our journalist podcast. We've transitioned from therapy podcast to journalist podcast. As a serious journalist, I want to state our biases up front that we do not have children. And we have thankfully never been married. So we're going to be a little lacking this episode. We're going to be a little, I'm going to be a little pro Carrie this episode. Okay?
Yeah, I think we're going to somehow get canceled because this country's very like anti non-mother for some reason.
Yeah.
Like that's in the discourse. So I feel like you and I are going to get into trouble being like, kids are gross. I don't get it. Yay, single Carrie. And they're going to be like, these childless women heathens.
Harpies, yeah. These devil harpies, and then they'll get us like the Crucible. I can't wait.
Excellent. That's
I'm ready. But anyway, Carrie and Stanford go to the baby shower together. I first, like off the bat, want to comment. They're in this elevator that's like an industrial warehouse elevator. And then they go to this like chic industrial apartment where allegedly 3 kids live. And I'm already like, well, I don't trust this mom.
Why? Because she lives in a loft with kids?
No, but like, it's like the elevator is like a cargo elevator. Maybe this is like me coming from my suburban background where I'm like, get those kids in a minivan. But I watched this elevator and I was like, how are these kids living here?
That's so funny. I do actually love that. Tell me what things are like weird to you, because it's the reverse is true. Is like for example, my the house I grew up in, my parents' house now, they're still there. The elevator has a bench in it, and not like even one of those like tiny corner ones, where an elevator operator used to sit. I mean like a full bench along the back. And without fail, everyone has commented on this. And it was like I remember when I first went to college, I had a group of friends that would come over regularly and during breaks. They never said anything. And then I transferred colleges and everyone at this new college would say something. And I remember making a comment to the old like school friends being like, it's weird. Everyone at my new college, my new school, whenever they come over, they think this bench is weird. I just thought it was a weird thing. And they were like, oh no, we also thought it was weird. We just didn't say anything because we didn't want to hurt your feelings. And I was like, okay, so everyone thinks this is weird. This is not okay.
I just like, it's the industrial warehouse with kids in it that my brain cannot compute. You know what I mean? I'm like, they're going to get hit by a crane. I don't know.
There's no machinery. Although I do like that they're in a factory.
Yeah, like I think because it looks like a factory, I don't know that that's chic, and I know that that's like New York, but you never think about like kids being in that space. You're always like, oh, it's some young guy who fucks, or like some actress who fucks. You never think like, oh, 3 kids live here.
Yeah, it's like cool. It's like a little too cool.
Yeah. Well, Carrie and Stanford, I guess he snuck in a CD version of Free to Be You and Me, which I didn't know what that was. And then I looked it up and it's actually like a very famous song that I have heard that like comes off this album that was a like 70s concept album that was promoting gender neutrality, saluting values such as individuality, tolerance, comfort, and one's identity. A major thematic message is that anyone, whether a boy or girl, can achieve anything. And it has some of the goofiest song titles, like Don't Dress Your Cat in an Apron. Carol Channing sings a song that's just called Housework. Harry Belafonte sings a song that's Parents Are People. And then there is a song called My Dog is a Plumber by Dick Cavett is another one, which does he even sing? I don't know.
Is this an album for children? Like,
it's an album for children that was like, again, supposed to promote like good values and like being a good kid and like what it is to be a good human kind of thing.
Okay.
But it's like a central theme of this episode, which is like even more confusing to me. Because they bring it up several times.
Now I have to like rewatch this episode with this in mind. This seems like important lore, an important reference we missed.
Yeah.
I want to see the episode of Sex in the City that is inspired by My Dog is a Plumber.
Or My Cat Doesn't Wear Aprons. Come on now.
Yeah, that's what I care about.
So we get to the apartment and they are told that they have to take their shoes off, which, okay, hot button issue. So my house is a shoes off house as well. But I feel like people know that. So nobody's wearing like fancy shoes. I do feel like that is a little crazy to just spring on somebody.
What, the shoe rule?
Yeah. I also feel like it's more common nowadays. I feel like back in that day, people were wearing shoes in homes more often than they are now.
Well, I think it's an age thing. Like, I think Carrie is dressed for a party of adults that are all going to stand around and, like, drink cocktails. You know what I mean? She's, like, at the wrong event. This is a party that has kids in it and is, like, you see later in the night, they're all sitting around the couch, like, on the floor talking. Like, this is not an event you would bring fancy shoes to anyway. Like with your house, I know, but I don't need to know. Like I don't think I'd wear a fancy shoe to someone's house unless I had reason that we'd stand around like eating hors d'oeuvres or something. You know, like that. I think it's just kind of the wrong. You know, it's the wrong event. I think she just miscalculated, but it's like, it's fine. What's going to happen to her is crazy.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Before we get to that, I just want to be clear that is crazy.
Yeah. No, for sure. But
I think that's how this faux pas happened here.
I did want to quickly read from the Sex and the City Kiss and Tell show Bible because they get into the inspiration for this. Mm-hmm. So this episode was written by Jenny Bix. And she writes, I was invited to a party in Brooklyn, and on the invitation, it said, please be prepared to take off your shoes. And I thought, oh, they're probably Buddhists. LOL.
Okay. What?
When I showed up, I realized that it was because they didn't want their kids picking up germs off the floor. The women were trying to make up for the fact that they weren't wearing shoes, which is very awkward, especially if you're a short person. It got me thinking about how much we work around people with children versus how little they work around single people. Society demands that we celebrate people who get married and have children. Who's there to celebrate singles? The hard thing about this episode was making it not about shoes and not about money. It was about how come my choices aren't as good. It's been very satisfying to finally put that stuff down. And we finally got to shoot a Manolo Blahnik, which was fun. But this party told you ahead of time to take your shoes off. But I do love that Carrie says here, though, oh, if I knew I had to take my shoes off, I would have compensated with a big hat or something.
Yes, I did make a note of that. I was like, the foreshadowing of the hat. It's like, oh my God. Look, she's consistent. She's nothing if not consistent. She's all like in character is doing the like, I just feel like a dangling sentence.
I just feel like it's hanging over me.
Complete.
The fact that she's like, can you imagine somebody casually coming over for a party and they're wearing a gigantic hat, but they're barefoot? It's so weird. And it's like, what is with the addiction of hats? I don't think we've seen Carrie in a hat yet in season 6.
She's had like bandanas and she'll have like fake hair on her head. Like
Fine.
She doesn't, but it's also indoors.
I'm also like, what hat would have gone with that outfit? Like, I just like, I know it's supposed to be kind of a joke on her part, which is like, oh, I mean, I need to have some sort of big accessory.
Yeah, she's like bitter. Yeah.
But she's planting, it's Sarah Jessica planting the seed that like seeds need hats.
Exactly. Like you and I have now like tapped into this pattern that she has this thing about that.
That she has a compulsion about hats.
She needs one on the airplane and Sex and the City, like that we never see again. I still think about that. And I think you very wisely asked, what was the hat box that came in? You know what I mean? Like that was a big note for me was, oh my God, she's consistent.
She is consistent. Every night before I go to sleep, I pray to Lord Jesus Christ. I thank him for what I have. And then my brain just shows me a Rolodex of every single hat Carrie has worn.
You repeat it to yourself like what's it, like Arya Stark in Game of Thrones listing her like kill list. And you listing all the hats.
Every single hat that he didn't like. I think about that coffee one. I think about the one on the Sex and the City 2 airplane. And I shudder and I close my eyes.
And you whisper, God is good.
God is great.
I'm protected.
Yeah, that's what I do. That's how I get in the bedtime zen.
We absolutely need to cut this, but have you seen the TikTok? I'm already anticipating. But have you seen the TikTok of the woman that like weirdly records herself having a breakdown and then she like prays to Jesus to like save her from anxiety?
No.
Oh my God, Marina.
Is it actually
crazy.
Me?
It's crazy. She's like, cause she's like washing the dishes and the caption is something like, when your husband's on a work trip and the anxiety is getting to you or something like that. And she suddenly halfway through washing the dishes turns around. She's like, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. And starts talking to herself and then goes on what every time you think it's going to stop, it keeps going. And it's maybe several minutes long of her being like, in Jesus' name. And she's just starts saying things where I'm like, I don't even think that's scripture. I think you're just saying words. Like she's just like, you know, she's like, Jesus has no void. And you're like, what does that mean? And you're just like, she's clapping. And even the dog comes over to be like, what are you doing? And she set up the camera too. So it's like a skit. It's so weird. It's like the whole thing is like, I have so many questions. I think you have something that you need to talk to somebody about because this isn't helping you. This is like 7 minutes of like, Jesus is a void. And you're like, oh my God, he's on a business trip. Please.
I just love the idea of like a self-exorcism over having anxiety. Which if I did that every time I had anxiety, I couldn't go to work. I mean, I wouldn't be able to function. I would be like, oh man, I already talked to myself, which is already bad. If I throw in that I'm talking to Jesus, it's asylum time. It's over for me. I'm out. That is wild.
It's crazy.
I feel like that's where Carrie could have ended up if she ended up being a Christ radical.
You know, when we talked about how her friends are like kind of, but not really figments of her imagination, it's like, this is what's happening in the real world.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? She's like at brunch being like, burger was such a big waste of time, you know, and she'll be like, paper covers rock. God is good.
Samantha's the void.
Samantha is the void.
And everybody at the like brunch place is like, oh. Because it's New York. They're like, that woman's just on her usual business.
Yeah, she's just doing her thing.
Well, where were we?
I'm so sorry. I've completely derailed this. I don't know what even made me think of this. I just was looking at the talks.
It's because this episode is unhinged. That's why.
It's that energy. What were we talking about?
Oh, well, great. Well,
we're at the party. Oh, the big hat.
We meet the hat. Yeah. So we talk about this hat that haunts Sarah Jessica. Then we meet this lady who is the one that's having the baby shower, who is a reoccurring star in this episode. Her name is Kira Bronson. I remember because they say it like 8 times. And we get kind of a slightly tasteless joke here where Carrie's like, she got famous photographing anorexic actresses on beds at the Chelsea Hotel, but now she just photographs fat babies in buckets. I'm like, you don't have to be like this.
I know. You can wake up and choose how you want to be.
Yeah, like this woman has not committed violence against you yet other than making you take off your shoes. Like, calm down.
Yeah, I think the whole energy of this episode is going to be like this. And again, I want to state for the record of what is about to happen. I'm going to be on Carrie's side. In this moment, we need to calm down.
Yeah, no.
It's not that bad to take off your shoes.
We have to calm down. I too hate those pictures of babies in buckets. It's confusing, but
I don't get it.
We don't have to call them fat. Like come on now.
It's a baby.
I do love, though, that they all get martinis that have little babies on the rims. I'm doing that.
That's it. Yeah. You're not for your baby shower. You're just doing that to be silly.
Yeah, for sure. I'm buying little toys to put in martinis from now on. I think that's genius. But then we cut to Miranda at her co-op board meeting, and she's like, okay, we're going to be interviewing Dr. Robert Leeds, like, let's make this interview short. I have a baby, so, I have to get home. And I love that the one crotchety woman's like, I have a cataract. 10 out of 10. 10 out
She
of
got
10.
that line, and she was like, I'm going to knock this out of the park.
Just cracking it.
She did.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get Dr. Robert Leeds. Yay!
I'm so delighted.
Big boyfriend for Miranda. That's not a spoiler because we've watched the next episode as well, but big boyfriend for Miranda here. And that's all I'll say for now.
Yeah. I because, again, I live in ignorance. I don't know where we're going with this. In this moment, I am on the train. I'm like, this is great. And it's so nice to see Miranda also, like, be excited.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's also why this plot makes me so happy, because I've just watched her just suffer.
Yeah.
In, like, every situation. So I'm like, all right, let's go. I'm on board. Let's have some fun, Miranda. So...
he is a doctor for the Knicks, which is like, I feel like you can't get any more, like, hot man than that.
Literally. I genuinely, I was actually just having this conversation because I was explaining this episode's plot, and I was like, I feel like that's the peak thing. It's like, not an athlete. You don't want an athlete. You want someone who is a doctor, and then for the sports team. That's awesome.
I mean, like, it's like the Nine Tails evolution. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't get bigger or better than that. Like, a doctor, but also for the sports.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy. Too hot. He's too hot. They've also cast, obviously, the perfect fucking guy. He's too hot. And everything he does is hot, as we'll see.
I know.
Just justice for Dr. Robert Leeds. I will only refer to him full name like that.
He put some respect on his name. I appreciate that.
He's like always in a suit. Yeah, I think we never see him in a t-shirt.
Maybe the best dressed man we've seen.
Yes. He has his own apartment in New York City. Come on.
Incredible.
I too would have my panties drop at this co-op board meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. We describe a lot of things on the show as unhinged, and this one, I'm going to let this slide because you and I would do the same thing.
Absolutely. So as we said, Miranda is like clearly flirting with him in front of everybody, and she's like asking personal questions. And then one woman like is like trying to get to a question about his like tax form, and she's like, we'll get there. Too good. I like that we end on the pun, like Miranda had a quick game of pickup. Then we cut to Harry at home slamming his tea bag down on the newspaper, and Charlotte is cleaning up after him, and you can tell she is irked by the tea bag as she has to pick them up all over the house in different places.
This is definitely like, I think that this is how, between this and Just Like That, like Charlotte is the most consistent because she goes through the least amount of change, I feel like. Like, this to me felt very much like an And Just Like That plot.
It did, but it's better executed.
Much funnier and much more fun, but this is a plot of like, oh, we're going to give her this one little thing, and then we're going to milk that, you know? I think the actor who plays Harry is having a great time, and I think that's also what sells us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's also having a good time in And Just Like That, but, like, here he's, like, you can really tell he was like, I get to be naked this episode? Hell yeah! And I love that for him. And I love that for him. I'm clapping, I'm saluting, I no notes, nothing negative.
We appreciate you, King.
Well, Miranda and Dr. Robert Leeds say goodbye, and they're like flirting. And then she goes back to the board, and they're like, I don't know, his tax form is janky in this one part. And then the cataract woman's like, and young people throw all the parties. And I love that, like, Miranda's like, okay, to win this case, to win him staying in this building so that I can continue to flirt with him, I'm just going to subtly imply that everyone in this room is racist. She's like, I think we all know the unspoken reason why we're hesitating.
It's so funny because it's so 0 to 60. But Miranda really is in lawyer mode. She's on a mission. She's like, I'm going to pull out the trump card and just...
and just accuse everybody of being a racist. I mean, listen.
But it works.
You got to get that dick sometimes. You know, you
Yeah.
got to make that dick appointment sometimes. And I do like that Carrie's like, the real unspoken thing is that he was cute and she was horny. Love it.
Get her, Carrie.
Get her. We cut back to Carrie at the baby shower. We like indulge in this very pretentious Sag Harbor conversation where they're like, we got outbid for a house, but then we bought it. But let's just say we can't go to any Billy Joel concerts anymore. Like, these people have already been set up as being the worst people.
Yeah.
I already hate them.
Yeah, just unpleasant trait after unpleasant trait.
So Carrie's like, okay, I'm going to go home. And they're like, bye. And then she goes to the pile of shoes and her shoes are gone.
Oh, boy.
Let me state that stealing somebody's shoes from a party is crazy.
Yeah.
That's
messed up.
Unhinged.
Because that person cannot get home. Like, they have no shoes now. Like, on so many levels, that's so messed up.
It's so messed up. Also, to be like the most expensive pair of shoes, like, I don't know. If that was my house and that happened to a guest of mine, I'm calling every single person, like,
Yeah.
which one of you is
mortified.
fucked? Which one
Yeah.
of you is Satan and has infiltrated my friend group to steal somebody's shoes?
Yeah, exactly. They act as if this happens sometimes.
Yeah,
and
like,
it's an
oh, we all
unfortunate
know this
mix-up.
happens. It does not
What?
happen. It does not happen. And if I have to
I
say
can't go home.
and make a PSA, don't take people's shoes.
What's wrong with you? Were you raised in a barn?
I'm like, this is a Sag Harbor crowd. Who's
I
taking
know.
shoes? You're all rich.
Again, it's a good point. What do you need that for?
Psychopaths, all of them. Well, the hostess is like, oh, that sucks. I can loan you some shoes. And Carrie has to walk home in some beat up sneakers.
Worst night of her life. I mean, this is like devastating for Carrie.
Worst. I mean, this is the worst. Second to that, big dying for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. that's pretty bad too. But that, you know,
But not as bad
this
as
is number
this.
one. Yeah.
Her in a
no.
flat shoe. Are you joking?
Someone else's shoe.
Barf.
This is horrid.
Then we cut to Carrie with the girls at brunch. I want to point out here that she is wearing like a rat's nest bun.
Thank you. I think I said it's like a giant fake bun that looks like a bird's nest.
Thank you. I'm glad that
I'm glad
you
we're on the
also
same page.
noticed it. I was like, I'm going to bring this up and Emily's going to be like, oh, okay, I missed that. And I'm just going to have to silently see, then move on. The fact that you also caught it, thank you. It's gross. It makes no sense. Her hair is short. So that means she just has that thing lying around her damn house.
Yeah, that exactly. Think of how disconcerting it is to picture that is just sitting somewhere in a box.
Ew.
It just snap onto her head. Disgusting. It barely looks like hair, and it's like brown.
And it's like
what
in
is
a
this?
net because it's like it's something that you're supposed to put under your hair as like a bump is like what it is. Like I don't think it's meant to be seen by the naked eye.
Oh god.
So the fact that it's just like tacked onto the back of her head, and to your point, it doesn't look like hair because it's like in a net mesh.
Mm-hmm.
And also the color does not match the color of her hair in the present moment. So it's all over the place. Burn it to ash. That's all I'll say.
Call the exterminator.
Get him out. I just love the idea that when she takes it off, it crawls away.
Oh.
Just like a little dog.
She takes it off and puts it down, and these little like legs sprinkle out,
And it just like scuttles under the bed with all her other hair pieces. Okay, so we're writing another show, and it's called Carrie's Hair Pieces Under the Bed, and it's all the different hair
Very
pieces that she uses that are all gross and
Yes.
ugly, and they all talk to each other.
I think that's good. And they all have funny voices. That's fine.
Oh, they all have funny voices. Yeah. This guy is definitely a chain smoking New Yorker, and he's definitely dating the peacock feather from the wedding.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Or he's like lusting after her, but like she doesn't realize he's the one.
Oh, okay. She's just like, oh, he's like silly. She's not taking him serious.
Yeah. And he's like, I love that girl with every fiber of my being.
And she's like, Tony, you're so silly.
And then like somehow it has a 5 o'clock shadow. And then like one night he like gets dressed up real nice. We're going too far deep into this bit, but I'm digging further.
We're in crazy town.
So he has like one night where he gets cleaned up real nice and like puts on a tux, and then like that's the night that she like sees him differently.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, oh, he's like a real man.
Oh my god,
he's
Tony.
A real hairpiece.
Yeah, he's a real hairpiece, and that's like how the sitcom ends.
Yeah, exactly. With them smiling at each other. Credits roll.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good. This is good.
I mean,
I like that you needed to take a really big sip of your water too after that. You were like, whew, that was a lot of creative juices that were, yeah.
I mean, it was a good fucking idea.
It's television.
It's television, baby. Where were we?
We're at brunch.
Oh, they were at brunch. Oh, we didn't even get to the brunch scene. We just ragged on her hair.
Okay. By her
hair. Well, she's torn up about the shoes, as she should be. They're like making fun of her, being like, oh, who could have taken your shoes? And she does have a good line here where she's like, I'm going to cry in my flan. Love it. Miranda's like, legally, they actually owe you. Like they do owe you to pay back for those shoes. And then Samantha goes on her rant saying, I'm sick of these people with their children ruining everything in New York City. And Miranda's like, I mean, I hate kids too, but I like my own son. And Charlotte's like, all kids are beautiful. And that's a wrap on that. We just learned that Samantha hates children, which I think we could have guessed. But she only has 2 scenes in this whole episode, and this is scene number 1.
It's sad. It's not a good day for Samantha.
Tragic. Then Charlotte shares that she has a tea bag situation, to which Samantha says, oh, you have to breathe through your nose.
Of course.
Thank you. And then we get into a conversation about teabagging, the sexual teabagging, which is when somebody puts their balls in your mouth.
Did the Harry plot, was it created so we could make this joke?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know that for a fact, but I think it's pretty obvious that somebody in the writing room was like, oh my God, you guys, I heard about this crazy new thing that's called teabagging. And everybody was like, oh, that's so gross. Put it in the episode.
Yeah, someone was like, what does that mean when you leave tea bags everywhere?
Dumb bitch. No. It's when you're...
That's how they talk in the writers.
Yeah. It's really aggressive. They're like, actually, shut up. It's when he puts your balls in your mouth. Sorry, Howie came out again.
Yeah.
I gotta reel it back in. Yeah. No, that's definitely how this whole
they
plot.
all talk like wrestlers. They're all like...
And then Michael Patrick King comes and he gets the like John Cena.
Yeah.
Like fanfare.
He gets the bullet. Yeah.
Anyway, they all basically shame Samantha and say that she's gross for even like knowing what teabagging is, which cool. I love that.
It really depends with these guys, I gotta say. It depends on their mood if sex is disgusting or sex is the fun thing to talk about today. It just, you have no idea where they're gonna go with it.
Wow, you have like blown my mind, but that is absolutely true. It's like, it's a roll of the dice about whether a sexual thing is going to be hot or not. And I feel like they're like, the idea of the show is that you would get all perspectives. So one girl would be like, oh, teabagging's great. And another person would be like, I don't like it. Another person would be like, I feel mad about it. But sometimes they just radically come out as like, no, this is disgusting. And if you do this, you are gross.
Yeah. You are a heathen.
Yeah. But that's such a good, that is like frighteningly true of this show that's supposed to be like, you know, women finally talking about sex on cable TV. And it's like, well, but some things we've decided are gross.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, they're talking about it, but also sometimes they hate it.
I'm going to also just drop an "Oh, Emily" here because this will come up again. Not teabagging, but this thing about like something about sex that we're supposed to explore, but we're not going to explore. We're just going to say it's gross.
Okay.
A lot.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay.
So then we cut to Charlotte and Harry in the kitchen, and she brings up the teabag issue. And can I just say, this is like the best way I could imagine this conversation going. Like, normally you bring up to your partner, like, I really hate it when you leave your clothes on the floor. And they're like, shut up, bitch. No, I'm just kidding. But they're like, they're like, oh, you have to accept me for being me. And you're like, oh, I guess I have to compromise. Like, I love here in this show that Charlotte's like, I guess I have to compromise. And then she's like, sorry, I just have to mention it. And Harry's like, you're right. I'll try and not do that. Thank you. Is that so hard?
I know. It's actually really lovely, and I also do appreciate that when they're having this conversation, and she like already starts to apologize because she's afraid to make him not feel like he's at home.
Right.
You know what I mean? And which I think is very sweet sentiment. And then the fact that he responds and is like, oh no, I was trying to be so careful and I messed up and whatever. I was like, that is also really sweet, is that without Charlotte having to ask him, he was already trying to like be super careful because he knows what she's like and is trying to make her feel comfortable. It's just a very sweet. It is crazy that both of us were like, oh, that's so, well, isn't that fucking nice? It's fucking nice. Michael Patrick King to have people talk like this.
I'm like, this is when people say this show is an escapist fantasy. It's this scene.
Yeah, we're talking about this specifically.
Miranda and Robert meet in the elevator, and he sexily points out that she has a pock on her face because we didn't talk about this earlier, but Brady has chicken pox. And he comes over to meet Brady, which is like kind of nuts. She's met him for 2 seconds and she's like, yeah, come over and just like meet my baby. But
meet my child.
He's just so hot that it's mesmerizing. I get it.
Yeah.
And he dabs lotion on her pock in a sexual way.
This is the thing, is like how you know that he's also like, all right, Miranda, you got to make this work. Because he not only finds out that she's a single mom and that doesn't faze him at all, he's immediately like, oh, sure. All right, can I meet your kid? And like does not blink. And secondly, she has this, obviously he like can't get it or whatever, he's vaccinated, but like she has this like wart, puck, whatever thing on her face. And he's literally like, let me make a sexy moment out of dabbing medicinal cream on you, this woman I just met. That's a keeper.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the hottest things I've ever seen.
Yeah. This is the female gaze.
This is finally the female gaze. So then we cut to Carrie. She goes back over to Kira's house and she's like, hey, I was in the neighborhood. Do you have any news on my shoes? And I love the way that Kira is like, oh no, which, as we mentioned before, if that were me, I would have called every single guest to be like, did you take this woman's shoes? The fact that she just lets it go is insane and rude. As this woman,
absolutely, I know that we're never gonna see her again because that's sort of how the formula of the show works or whatever. And I'm glad. If I'm Carrie, I'm also like, this person's not my friend anymore. What the fuck? Like, that's so messed up to just be like, oh no, whatever. What? You have a shoe thief friend who like stole from me these really expensive shoes from your house. This was your party where this went down. This doesn't bother you?
I would be getting the guilt sweats. It would be keeping me up at night. She does offer to pay for the shoes. The insanity ratchets up like one more step where you're like, okay, well, at least she's going to pay for the shoes. And she's like, how much are they? And Carrie's like, they're $485. And the woman's like, that's too much. I'll give you $200. Insane. That's not even half. That's not even half.
I can't with this woman. I get everything we learn about her is just more unpleasant than the last. Everything she says is more despicable to me than the last. She's a walking pet peeve. I hate her.
The worst quote is Carrie's like, well, that's how much Manolo Blahniks cost. Like, you know how much they cost. You used to wear them. And she goes like, yeah, but I have a real life now.
Murder. It's a homicide is happening.
Yeah, like
we're not going back. Oh my god.
That's not even like Carrie specific because like, yeah, Carrie's obsessed with the Manolo Blahniks, put it on a t-shirt, whatever. But like, that is just a crazy thing to say to a single person. Just like, oh yeah, well, I bought Manolos when I had a life, but like now I'm buying babies and houses. So like I'm doing something real. In this economy? Not in this. You can't say that to somebody in this economy. She doesn't know, but the recession is like, whatever, 6 years away. Like, she's gonna remember that, and that's gonna haunt her at night. I'll say that much. Much.
Get her when the value of her house plummets to the floor.
Yeah, when Hurricane Sandy hits her house. Just kidding, because that was Jersey. But you know what I mean? Like
in Sag Harbor. Yeah. We just wish untold tragedy on this woman. We're just like immediately has rocketed up to the top of our list of villains.
Yeah, I would reckon to say she's worse than Lily because she picks up her child and holds it in her hands, and then Carrie's like, well, that's how much the shoes cost. Like, you owe me for my shoes. And the lady's like, honestly, it was your choice to buy shoes that expensive and like wear them to my house. So like, it's your fault. Like, and it's so clear that in the direction of this, that they wanted her to pick up the child to kind of imply like, but you chose children. You chose to have children that are expensive. Right. Like Carrie's allowed to choose to wear shoes that are expensive. You know?
Right, because you picked this expensive child that everyone has to pay for and buy you gifts for.
Yeah. Insane. And Carrie reacts in the way that I would react, which is that, like, I would feel shamed by that.
100%. I mean, that's an incredibly judgmental thing to say. It's like, and it's also parroting messaging that women get a lot already. So like, there's an insecurity there that she's tapping into that has like society has given some women. You know what I mean? Yeah. That they're like not making right choices or they're like not complete, and you'll find someone someday, and all these kind of like coded things that they have to like hear, right? And then she's just tapping into that. It's like such a mean-spirited thing to say. It's horrible. And I'm sure that people watch this and will hear her say that. And a lot of these people may be parents. A lot of these people will be men. They'll hear her say that and be like, yeah, no, she has a point. Like, that is what is really sick about this, is that people really do think like this and would completely be like in the right of like, well, Carrie is having her lavish, childish lifestyle. Yeah. And I'm not going to like pay for that.
And that kids are a choice.
Yeah.
This is like the thing that I think this will actually get me canceled.
Okay. Here we go. I'm holding onto the edge of my seat. Literally.
I went to my friend's law school graduation a couple years back. And some people, when they would go up to get their law degree that they worked hard on, and they deserve, you know, as many claps from the audience as they should get for that, they would bring their kids up on stage and people would clap longer and harder for them. And I understand that going to law school while having a child is difficult. I obviously have like respect for that. And obviously some people choose to go to law school later in life and they've already had kids. I'm not talking about them though, because all these people that went up on stage were young dads. Like they were not women in their later years or something. They were all young dads. And I was there like, I'm not going to clap because you chose to have a child in the middle of law school. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to clap harder because you chose to have kids while you went through law school. Because if that's the case, then I should clap for the people who, you know, had to work 2 extra jobs to get through law school. That's just as hard. Like, you know what I mean? And like, that's not even their choice in that they like had to earn the money somehow. You know what I mean? Like, it drives me crazy that people are like, children somehow are not a choice. You know?
Oh my God. Yeah.
I'm getting canceled, but I would not clap.
Well, I am getting canceled too. Kill me too. I'm sitting here being like, everything you said is, I completely wholeheartedly agree. I also think it's like, it's very well articulated too of why that particular thing is really annoying I think you've really gotten to the heart of it, of this choice idea. And rather than this like default thing that happens to you, and good for you because you like did it while you had a child. Exactly. It takes away the like agency of the decision.
Yeah.
And then also makes children the default, right? Because it's like, that is a thing that's just going to happen to you.
Yeah. And
you didn't make the agent decision
to do it.
It's not a choice I'm shaming, but it's not a choice I'm going to celebrate extra over the other people.
Yeah, it doesn't. That was my thing. I was like, it's unfair that I'm cheering extra for you because you decided to have children. You know what I mean? And I don't know everybody's life story and everything, but I'm going back to what the writer of this episode said in her blurb that we read earlier. I love how this episode really hones in on the fact that children are a choice. They're not a default. And like, obviously kids are a lot. They require a lot of support. They require, the village. And I'm not against that, but it's true that like after you graduate, high school or college or graduate school, whatever it is, like there's no more celebrations for you as a person.
Right. Right.
Like, and it's a little fucked.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is, and it is seen as like a person that's not complete because you haven't finished your, like, what's going to make you complete is when you have
children.
The kid.
Yeah.
Which I, have had to like kind of unlearn as well, and also now feel like it's so backwards in that like so much of your life goes into having a child, right? Like that's such a big decision. Like it's not one that you make because you're supposed to make it now and it's time to have it, I guess. Check that box off. It's like your whole life is now going to be defined in your relationship to the fact that you have this kid. You know what I mean? Like your life is going into that kid.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that we think the opposite, that we think people are like not complete and not really a person that is worth celebrating, or accomplishments are not as exciting.
Yeah.
Because they didn't do this other choice that's supposed to be what they're supposed to be doing. I totally hear you. And it's infuriating, honestly. I mean, this is like such a pet peeve. I'm such an annoyingly pro-single person. Do you know what I mean?
Speak on it.
And it's like, and I don't want to be hypocritical because it's like I'm not single, but I'm very pro-single in the sense of like I completely understand, and I find it so irritating when people start to get shamey and judgy and weird competitiveness. I'm like, you got to deal with whatever insecurity is leading you to talk like this, because it's a crazy way to police another person.
Yeah, then you pass on to your child.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yes, exactly. They're going to grow up thinking, gross.
Well, Carrie calls Miranda to commiserate about it. I love that Miranda in her like sick state is like, she's a bitch. Like fully covered in pockmarks, like in her PJs on the couch.
Yeah.
And she's watching a Jules and Mimi marathon. They're back.
I love that they're a recurring bit. That makes me so happy. This ridiculous British show.
So Carrie columns, and she talks about how that album I brought up earlier sang to us about differences, but now it's singing a different tune. And then she's like, is acceptance really such a childish concept, or did we have it right when we were younger? And she kind of ends on the question, when did we stop being free to be you and me? Which is, again, a reference to the song that was mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Which, again, I did not catch. And I just thought she was being cutesy.
No, she's being lazy. No, I'm just kidding. So Charlotte and Harry are in the kitchen, and we get a great montage here of Harry being naked in every room. He's naked in the bedroom. I love that he is naked. He trudges over to the dining room. He plops down on the white cloth chair to like watch the mini TV. And then to like turn back like he's a big baby, basically.
Yeah.
To be like, hey, Charlotte. Like, it's just so good. Then he's nude in his office typing, and then he's nude in the kitchen reading the newspaper. 10 out of 10.
And he's got just like a blank kind of expression with slight content. He's just in his happy place. Like, you can just, he's just at peace. I mean, it's so funny.
So funny. Carrie calls Kira, I think, to honestly be like, I'm sorry for being such a bitch about these shoes, which is psychotic.
Yeah.
But luckily,
she was calling to apologize, which was bigger than what I would have done.
yeah, I would have just never talked to this person ever again. That'd have been me. But the way, again, that this woman chooses villainy. Carrie's like, I'm sorry about the other day. Like, I just, want to make sure that we clear the air. And she's like, oh, I completely forgot about that whole conversation anyway. Go to jail. I will see you in jail.
These people are not friends. This woman is not her friend because she is like, I'm going to make up a headcanon that she has been hateful and resentful of Carrie for a long time. And I'm going to just make up my headcanon that this is how she acts with Carrie. She just like says these little belittling comments because she's just like always hated Carrie a little bit.
Yeah. I'm going to take it a step further and say that one of her close friends saw the shoes in the pile and was like, oh, those are cute. And she's like, ugh, those are Carrie's Manolo Blahniks, whatever. She always is like wearing those, and then the woman was like, oh my God, wouldn't it be so fun if we just took them? And then she's like, yeah. But she was like drunk when it happened. So she didn't remember that happened. That's my conspiracy deep state theory.
I love these character interpretations we're coming up with. Okay, yeah, now she's just a full-on villain. Like, let's go.
Let's go. I mean,
she has stolen the shoes now.
Sorry. I'm just going to refer to my notes and say nothing this woman does is good. So.
Yeah, no, every line, and that's the thing, is like, she's like batting 300, like every line is an insult somehow. It's astonishing how she can fit so much garbage.
This show is pro-woman. This episode is trying to be its most pro-woman, but we can all agree that we hate this woman.
Yeah. Believe all women except this one.
Except this one.
This woman took the shoes.
Except Kira Bronson.
Except Kira Bronson.
So Carrie and Charlotte walk and talk, and Carrie brings up the excellent point that she has bought this woman an engagement gift, a wedding gift, a trip, and 3 baby gifts. So in total, she has spent over $2,000 for this woman, which fair.
This spoke to my soul, this part, because like you and I were like, we're turning 30. We're like rounding that corner, right? A lot of our friends are getting married. Like this is just the thing that happens in your early 30s. It's like, I love you all very dearly. I was very happy to go to the wedding. I'm very happy for you, to be clear. I have spent so much money on these goddamn weddings and these trips and these gifts and these dresses. It's like, it is kind of crazy. And by the end of it, I'm also like, I mean, I genuinely had this moment, not even as a joke. I was like, do I even want a wedding anymore? Because I'm so tired of all this money that I'm spending on weddings, just to hear the same playlist of 40 songs and just to all wear the same kind of colored dresses and eat the same food and do the same. I'm like, it kind of radicalized me into being like, I actually don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting canceled.
Yeah. Get her. No, I mean, I agree in that, like, at first, I feel like weddings are fun because you're like, when your first few friends get married, you're like, oh, it's a wedding. I get to go. And like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then after a while, I don't have the thing where they're all the same yet. Maybe because I have been to drastically different weddings, but I did have one wedding that was like particularly expensive for a friend that I'm not that close with. And after that, I was like, never again. Never again am I blowing this kind of money on somebody who's like tangential. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because it is, Carrie raises the good point. Like, what if you never get married? Because that's the thing is there is this like fake oath that's like, well, you spent a lot of money on my wedding. So when you get married, I'll spend a lot of money on your wedding. What if I never get married?
Yes, 100%.
Like
100%. It's not like a back and forth with birthday stuff. That's a completely valid thing, is I'm going to drop all this on you and do this celebration for you. You're never going to do it for me.
Yeah. So it's unfair. I like that they point out that it's unfair.
Mm-hmm.
And I do love that Carrie also has this line that's like, Hallmark doesn't have a card that says, congratulations, you didn't marry the wrong guy.
I mean, nothing but bangers in this scene, honestly. Like, there's so many lines where I'm like, you know what? Yeah.
I've never been more pro Carrie in my entire life. This episode gets me going.
I know. This episode is radicalized. This episode, I'm like we're gonna pause the. Do you know the? God, Jesus, I cannot believe I'm making this comparison. We're so fucking canceled.
I'm ready.
Do you know the meme that's like, it's like the Crips and Bloods and they've like tied the bandana together? That's me and Carrie for this episode.
This one episode.
I'm like, we are putting it behind us. Right now, we're all going to come on stage and sing Not Like Us.
Yeah.
We are putting it behind us for a common enemy.
Yeah. This is the one episode where I'm like, Carrie's the best character that's ever been written.
Yeah, exactly. While this episode is on, you will not hear me say a negative thing about Carrie.
Not one negative thing. I stand by her. It's giving, like...
You can wear whatever nest you want, honey.
Honey, I take back everything I've ever said about the hats or anything. Go off.
Congratulations on not marrying the wrong guy.
Well, then we cut to Samantha's second scene in this whole episode, which is unhinged. And honestly, I don't understand what the messaging of this whole scene is. So I'll just go through it top to bottom and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
She's at lunch, doing a working lunch. She's talking loudly on the phone and a child is interrupting her. And this child is like unhinged at this lunch. It's like a young kid. So they're grabbing the food with their hands. They're smearing it on their face. And their mom is like clearly endeared by this, being like, oh, aren't you such a good pesto eater? That whole business. And Samantha's clearly irritated by this. Then a waiter comes over and is like, ma'am, this is a cell phone free restaurant. You can't be talking on your phone. And then Samantha's like, well, what are you going to do about that? And like points at the kid. And he's like, I can't do anything about that. That's a child. It's the most amazing delivery of all time. And then there's like a voiceover from Carrie that's like, and then Samantha knew what to do. And so she like storms over to the mom and the kid and she's like, may I suggest that like you not bring your kid to this kind of establishment and like there might be a place where they could be happier. And then the kid takes a ball full of pesto pasta and throws it at her face. And then the mom is like endeared by this as well, like doing like a, oh, I'm sorry, but like secretly laughing at it, being like, yeah, get that bitch. And then Samantha's like, well, I guess I've made my point and he's made his. And then she like storms out. What is this scene trying to tell me?
I don't like this. Yeah. I don't like this at all.
I don't like any part of it. I don't like that Samantha confronts a mom. Like, that's not great. I don't like that the kid throws the spaghetti and the mom is like, whatever, I don't care.
Charmed by it. Yeah.
Anyway, that's Samantha for the rest of this episode.
Sad.
Charlotte comes home to nude Harry, and he's about to sit on her pristine white couch, and she decides that she has to say something about the nakedness. And again, this is handled impeccably, where she's like, I want you to be you, and I want you to be naked, but just not on my pristine couch. And he's like, I get it. I get that it's gross to have my balls on your couch. And then she's like, can we put something in between? And then he's like, I can wear shorts. And she's like, okay. And then I love her line delivery here of like, there's a long pause. And then she's like, now? Fantastic. And then he goes up and he puts shorts on.
Mm-hmm.
I won't say anything because I don't want people to read into my personal life, but I'll just say maybe they should show this in sex ed class in like middle school, you know, when the boys and girls are separated. Maybe they should just show the boys this scene. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. This is, I mean, it unironically actually would be a good instructional thing of like how to handle and deliver constructive feedback, criticism.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, before we move on, shout out to the actor who plays Harry for his delivery of "What's up, baby?" when she comes home, because that was stellar.
No, he's like in his element this episode. He opened the script at the table read and saw he was naked for the whole episode and like broke down into tears of joy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, yes, fun Harry episode. What's up?
What's up? So then we cut to Miranda watching Jules and Mimi, and Dr. Robert Leeds comes over with a toy for Brady. Again, this guy is just like infiltrated her life in like a stalker level degree, but we're not paying attention because he's a doctor for the Knicks.
Exactly. There is no, it's literally I think I've referenced memes maybe 4 times in this episode, and that's a problem that we're gonna have to deal with off camera. But it's the meme of the hot guy coming over at work being like, "Hey, beautiful," and she's like, "Hey," and then the other guy comes that's supposed to be like quote unquote ugly, and she's like, "Hello, human resources," and it's like an incel meme that has now like become a meme, right? It's kind of that where I'm like, if this were someone who wasn't so fucking charming and hot, you would be like, "Wow, this guy is kind of pushy." Like, "Wow, he seems really aggressive. I'm sick. Why is he showing up?" But because it's him, I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
he's showing up while I'm sick.
Yeah. So then he's like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm watching Jules and Mimi. And he's like, oh, let's just watch together. Again, would be unhinged, but he's too hot for me to notice. And they start watching Jules and Mimi, and they're like in bed together. And at this point, it's pretty obvious that Jules and Mimi are an allegory for them.
Yeah.
Remember when I said this comes back in a way that is like worse?
You did warn me, and I will say I blocked that out of my mind because there was something really frightening about you being like, just so you know, this show is going to come back about the black man and the white woman from other parts of town or whatever. And you're like, and I was like, I don't want to know how that's going to come back. This is thankfully not so bad, but it is kind of funny because watching them watch the scene, the setup and payoff from the writers, I really just have to tip my cap. It is very funny.
It's very funny. And then, of course, Jules and Mimi get into like a graphic Bridgerton style sex scene with like, Mimi, like sounds.
Yeah.
And then they're just like awkwardly on the couch, like kind of making eye contact, but like not making eye contact. 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
10 out of 10. Then Carrie calls Kira Bronson one more time and leaves a message. And she's like, I just want to announce that I'm getting married to myself and I'm registered at Manolo Blahnik. So fuck right off. She doesn't say that last part, but she has the intonation of that. And then we cut to Kira getting the shoes and paying the $485 plus tax. And then we get the bitchy Manolo Blahnik employee being like, and also, can you keep your kids in line? We don't want them touching the shoes. And I'm like, okay, well, we don't need to shame this woman now, but fine. We'll let it happen since she is the biggest villain.
Because she's so horrible, fine. We'll let you throw the tomatoes and whatever you need to do.
I'm like, this is kind of counter to the whole thing we've been fighting for this whole episode, but I'll let it happen because I too hate her.
Right, exactly. It's like that. I'm spiritually not with what is trying to be saying, but also she sucks, so I'm fine with this.
Yes.
I'm surprised she even showed up for the registry. That's kind of funny. That she even went to the store to be like, okay, it's Carrie's wedding.
Yeah, me too. I kind of was thinking she'd be the kind of person to be like, oh, I never got your message. But the show wants to end on a happy note, so it's fine.
Whatever. Yeah, she shows up.
Carrie gets her shoes. And then she's like, it's hard to walk in a single woman's shoes. And sometimes we need to wear special shoes now and then because being a single woman is hard.
Special shoes. Okay.
End of the episode.
I sort of follow. Whatever. Anyway.
It's over.
We're done.
We're done. She's got her shoes.
She got her shoes.
World peace has been achieved.
Mm-hmm. We've fixed gender dynamics and friendship dynamics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And choice.
For all history.
Yeah. Well, that was it. That was Sex and the City, Season 6, Episode 9. We end our podcast as we end all our podcasts with our high and our low, our rose and our thorn. We'll start with the negative. Emily, what was your diarrhea of this episode?
It's got to be Samantha. Just because, like, the scene with her and the pesto is, like, it's uncomfortable. It sucks. And also, it's kind of disappointing because, like, I think there is something about, like, annoying kids in public. Like, I think that's valid. But they take it to such a weird place that I didn't like. I didn't like that scene.
Yeah. She doesn't learn to accept kids either. Very confusing. My diarrhea is that when Harry sits naked at the dining room table to watch the TV, the local news is playing just loud enough that you can hear that they're talking about 39-year-old founder of Laboratorio del Gelato, which I pronounced in the American way because I'm not going to give it the decency of pretending that it's Italian. And then later they eat the ice cream when Charlotte and Carrie are walking around. And I just have to call out propaganda when I see it.
Wow.
Like, not only does his TV say it. It says it clear enough that it came up in the captions, on my TV.
The subtitle, yeah.
And then they are eating it later. And first of all, that ice cream store is terrible. I've been there and I don't like it. And maybe the founder is Italian. I don't know. But I just got to call the promotion when I see it. That's all.
That is crazy. That is real subliminal. I did not pick up on that at all. It just all of a sudden I was eating the gelato and I didn't know how it happened.
Yep.
I got totally.
It's in your hand right now.
It's oh my God. Can you imagine? I just pull it into frame. What?
Yeah. So that's my diary of this episode. What was your Release the Kraken?
I'm sorry to take it from you because I think we might have the same one, but it's the scene where she's walking with Charlotte. It was just a lot of banger after banger after banger of a line.
Yeah, that one like is healing after the episode where she confronts Berger's friends and like says all the wrong things. This episode is like healing in that she like says all the good things.
Says all the right.
I'll give that to you. I'll do Miranda and Dr. Robert Leeds watching Jules and Mimi. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
It's a good one. It's good.
Well, thank you for tuning in. This is the part we all regret where I say that you gotta subscribe, you gotta favorite. I know there's 5 of you out there, and I know that I know each one of you individually. And I appreciate the human support that you give me. I appreciate that you.
What we're saying is we would also like more bot support. So if you get those streams racked up illegally, that would really be.
What I'm saying is if you could just play this episode on a loop on like an extra laptop that you have from like high school that you like haven't opened till now, that would be great. And I would appreciate that. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.